Hey everyone, I have here the LEGO Star Wars Boba Fett's Throne Room set. I bought this off Amazon for its suggested retail price of $100 US and then built it live over on Twitch. There are 7 unique minifigures here, and with the build there are several sections that can be hinged around to change the access that you, as a huge figure, get to different things, and also to change the overall footprint of the shape of space that this takes up. Speaking of which, right from the start, to me, this looks a lot more massive when I look at it around the back. You know, most of the pictures have focused on the front view, sort of front-ish view, the open view, and all this back here just makes me feel like there's more stuff, because there actually is more stuff to it than I think the pictures have done justice to. It's a fairly simple build around the back, but you can see the whole thing is elevated up on a platform, which definitely adds to the piece count, but I think also adds to the value as well, because it does not feel flimsy. You know, it feels like you've got some real substance here all throughout. The one exception being the grating that is over the non-existent Rancor pit. Getting into details, I want to start with the tower segment on our right. There's a console right here, a door with a stairway, and the stairs have the ability to be angled ever so slightly, just like that, so that if you have a figure standing there, it can just fall off. There are no studs on the stairway, so it's going to be easy for figures to fall off no matter what. But, you know, it's a little action feature that's integrated without making things look bad, at least. The door here actually looks quite nice, in my opinion. That is a print right there, and I'm glad that this little eye thing can stick out, can also be pushed back in, and that's part of an action feature itself. You got the defense cannons up here, which are on a ball joint, so those can be swiveled and angled around a bit, but the biggest deal here is the door, which is built studs on the side, studs towards you construction, and yet it actually looks pretty decent on the other side. This by default will be held up here. Right now it's not sliding down quite as easily as I would like. I tried to get everything nice and compacted together, make sure all the parts are pushed together properly, but this is intended to be an action feature where you push on this and the door will then close, because it'll just fall down. And yeah, for me, it's just not falling down right now. I did try to build it as best I could, but check this out. On the other side, it's all covered up on the underside, so you don't see different colors of things. It's actually designed pretty nicely, and it's designed to look good. You also have an Overwatch section up here, so when the door is down, you can put a figure in this space, but if the door is up, then you kind of can't put a figure in that space because it's used up right there. They do have around the back a set of macro binoculars, electro binoculars out here, and you can just put a single figure right here on this ledge, which is a little bit awkward. Would have been nicer to be able to have somebody always up here. Like, this looks like a balcony that should be usable at all times. But overall, the build for this is pretty decent. And as you can see, this is one of the sections that can be angled in and out. Unfortunately, it can only be angled in and out by 90 degrees here. So it looks like it would be able to close in, and you could have it a fully enclosed palace space, but instead it just allows you to angle it around a little bit, create a little bit of a courtyard, an inner courtyard area, and then alternately flatten this out. So there we go. It just clips into the base there. Old school snake around the back. We already kind of looked at the detail here, but I do want to show you another segment. It's able to open up. So pull these apart with fingers. There we go. So this is all the stuff that you get access to around the back. Now this does open up all the way. I'll get this other thing out of the way. So this becomes a full flat space, and it's interesting. You know, it's different. Like, this almost feels like it could be set up as a long diorama just by itself, although it's not quite designed to work that way, because there's this awkward section along the back that does not allow this to be a continuous thin strip that you can just put in a thin space on a bookcase or anything. You got a rotisserie back here, which can be spun up. A little suggestion of glow down there. You can have a drink over here, a couple of bones over here, and various spots for minifigs to be stationed. This is a print right here. That's nice. These are set up nicely. You can angle them up and down just a little bit in their spaces, and you can make some food over there. Not a lot of depth to that. Also, no space to be able to put minifigures, because if you try, the grills are in the way. The grill pieces that are facing you don't even allow you to put a figure in that space on with a single stud. So you can only just barely fit a figure off to the side or something like that. That's a little bit awkward, you know, compared to this area over here, which at least has some spots on either side that could accommodate them. I care about that. I care about being able to put the minifigures into the thing, you know, into the space where they're supposed to go, where they're supposed to be interacting and such. Either side of the main center area has an opening, you know, archway, so people can walk through there. That can connect to this area here. And when this is locked out like so, you get just a little seating area, you know, so just two little seats there, nothing special. You know, sit down, have a little drink or something. There's also a little bit of space on the roof. This, incidentally, this barrel has a couple of thermal detonators in there. Just a pair of the printed pieces that we've all seen before. Nothing new there, but that's the suggestion for, you know, somebody who's just looking out for the place and you know, is prepared to throw a couple of those around. Before I look at the main interior section, I do want you to see this here. I just detached the grill. We'll see that in a second, but yeah, this is good. The detailing here is nice. I appreciate the fact that it's all real building techniques. There are some stickers used in this. I'll go ahead and reattach this there. This is actually two stickers. You can see it's centered right there. The seam between the two is right there. It's two stickers on a single piece, and they're supposed to line up. So it's a place where you do want to use some care. Similarly, back here on the throne, on the back of the throne, two stickers that probably should line up. And as you can see, if you look up close enough right there, the physical outlines of the die cuts don't line up if the lines themselves do. So that's the throne. You put Bib Fortuna there, and then you use this little action feature here just to kick him off. So just like that, just kind of falls off to the side, or he falls forward depending upon how hard you hit that. Overall, I think the throne looks decent. A lot of people have asked how easy would it be to adjust this to allow Jabba to sit there. I think you'd have to completely redesign it from scratch, and I don't know if there's even enough space in this total overarching archway to fit the old Jabba in there at all. So I don't think that's something that would be worth looking at as a mod. That would be better to be done just as a scratch build, in my opinion. These are stickers here for the Rancor faces. Yeah, just have some random little stuff. Places for people to stand, a little bit of greebling, a little bit of extra detail around the outside. And then finally, so this is where the Rancor pit is supposed to be underneath here. All of this will slide. The whole thing slides. The whole throne slides out. Shows you its basic construction, which I think is fine. You know, nothing wrong with that. And underneath is a little bit of storage, you know, secret storage compartment here with a couple ingots of what appears to represent Beskar, with the ingots in dark pearl gray, which is the gunmetal gray, and a couple of blasters as well. One of those is just the Han Solo kind of short sidearm blaster, but in metallic silver, and this is the Agent style blaster with the two clip points. One of them is smooth, and that's in black. Before I move on to the figures, I want to show you once again just the whole thing, its overall shape. So it's very easy to just pop this off because it's a single piece. So if that doesn't fit in your space, this is the most narrow, realistic orientation of the whole thing. Because if you want to make it narrower at the back, you know, if you want to put this into the thinnest, the shallowest of spaces, unfortunately, this here gets in the way because that sticks out. And I think that's fine, but just a consideration for where you can put this. This isn't that deep, but that's its overall shape in the most flat form. And then the other option is to have these come together, again, inward 90 degrees like so, which just creates that sort of suggestion of interior space. You can also slide this out if you want to get just a little bit of a different shape. Really, this back here is more about access to that little bit of interior space, mostly around the back of the center section, not so much the food area. Let me go ahead and bring this back around this way, but there we go. That one gets stuck a little bit, but yeah, it's more for access in here, in my opinion, as opposed to this, which is almost like set dressing more than anything, just because the figures can't actually get in there. Looking at the figures, the Bib Fortuna headgear piece, the Leku mold looks fantastic to me because it looks so organic. It's actually hard plastic. It looks really soft, and that's just because the mold work, the sculpting work is so good. How it's folded around, how it's bent around, how lumpy it is, where it's lumpy. It has suggestions of just how tissue works underneath skin and everything. It's really done with some serious skill, at least in my opinion. It almost looks like it would be flexible and able to move. Really happy with that. Also very happy with the Gamorrean guard in the middle, whose entire look is absolutely on point. Could have used just a little bit more opacity in some of the paint applications on the head. There is no print on the torso underneath there, thank goodness. It would have been a waste. Oftentimes Lego puts really nice prints in places where you will never be able to see them, so I'm glad that they did not do that here. And just overall, the number of paint applications on that specialized piece that goes from the base of the torso and up through the head, including the pauldrons and everything, it's really good. It's very, very crisp. And then finally on the right is the Quarren. Finally got a proper Quarren head mold that is, in my opinion, not as good as Bib Fortuna's mold. The Quarren mold just, to me, feels like it should be a little bit more crisp in some of its cuts, some of its corners, some of its creases. The prints on there are very good. Prints for everything on that figure are good. Let me just briefly pull this up so you can see the rest of the printing right there. But this is a rubber piece here that might have contributed to the level of detail that Lego is able to get on there per their current standards for how these things can work. But Bib Fortuna does also have an alternate face. It's so weird that this is hard plastic. It doesn't seem like it. There's his alternate. These are just generally all good. Only problem here is that Bib is, well, normal size, right? It should be a little bit more rotund, ideally. I guess the same could have been said about Boba Fett at this point, you know, when he first showed up at the end of Mandalorian Season 2, but I'm fine with this figure. Obviously, the helmet color, I've tried hard to justify in a Legoification of modern Boba Fett the continued use of the sand green color for the rocket and also the helmet especially. I've really tried and it just doesn't work. Like certain lighting conditions, does it actually end up being better? No, it's not. It should be the exact same color as the breastplate there, and it's just not. So yeah, that's wrong. The printing for the arms is not bad. It's nice to see that level of detail there. Not bad over here, actually a little bit better. Really good prints for Fennec Shand there all over, head to toe, and on the arms. It comes with a hairpiece here though. Doesn't really make sense to me. It just doesn't seem right to me personally. Is that just me? Also, no helmet is included for her. That's a miss. On the far right is a Weequay guard who has really good prints. Happy with that all the way around. You know, save the inclusion of an actual braid add-on piece. That would have made it better, but for what it is, it's pretty good. That face is very good. And there's only a single face for Boba Fett. It is the scarred up one, which is still appropriate for the for what's being portrayed in this set here. I don't know if they're going to come up with a post-Bacta version of him as well, but that's a pretty darn good Temuera Morrison face, in my opinion. Last but not least, this figure is called Thielin Dancer, just generic Thielin Dancer. They did not license the specific name of this named character. It is a specific named character from the franchise, and I'm not going to try to pronounce that character's name because it will only lead to the usual YouTube comment section obsession with debating pronunciations, and I don't need that. I don't think there has ever been an official pronunciation of the name in any official media, so most of it's going to be made up and the character's made up anyway. We don't need all that stress, but this is a really well done figure to a degree that you cannot even see here right now. I will explain momentarily. The hairpiece is pretty glorious with that bright dark pink color it actually is. Good print detail with 2 faces here. You didn't even need that for this figure, in my opinion, for this character. But, you know, really good stuff. But let's look a little closer. Look at all the white sections on the torso, into the hip, and on the legs as I rotate carefully the figure around to catch the light in a certain way. Look at that. Look at that pattern that appears. It's a completely hidden pattern that you cannot see by default. It is white printed on white. Now, I've really been impressed in the past by some really subtle patterns from Lego, from printing black on black. There's a distinct difference between black plastic and black ink added on. It's a difference of mostly glossiness, which changes kind of how the light reflects off of it. But this, it's just practically invisible. It's super cool, but you're not able to really see it. Also, I notice here up this close that the print for the hip is lacking in opacity. That's supposed to be black, I'm pretty sure, there as well. But look at this. Around the back, it continues. There's more. Look at that. All of that. All that you never see. You literally never see unless the light hits it absolutely perfectly. It's such nice stuff, but it's unfortunate that we're not able to really take advantage of it at all. Finally, these are the spare pieces, including one each of the 1x1 prints over there. And then the sticker sheet looked like this. It's really not many stickers for a set of this size. And again, 2 of these went onto one single piece. So again, this is $100 US for 7 pretty detailed figures, 732 pieces, but a fair number of the pieces are larger in size than average. Do I feel like this is worth $100 US? I still don't. I don't feel like it's as overpriced now, seeing it in person, as I did when I was just looking at the official pictures. I think the official pictures don't quite do it justice, because there's more substance here to the main build, which is what I'm personally most interested in. However, for fans of figures, yeah, there's a lot of detail here, but I really think that it would have been better fan service to include multiple Gamorrean guards. I understand this is not a Book of Boba Fett set. It's a Mandalorian set, teaser of Book of Boba Fett kind of thing, but I could have gone for another Gamorrean guard instead of the dancer figure here. Boba Fett still has not been updated with appropriate colors, and no helmet as an option for Fennec. Yeah, it's fine to not have it for this specific scene, but Lego has never been beholden to absolute specifics and doing everything perfectly accurate for a given scene for just a regular toy set, something that's not a collector level set. So better hair here would have been better, and also including a helmet would have been really nice. Even just looking at the figures, the structure I'm actually pretty happy with. All in all, I told you about some of its quirks. There's one thing that I did forget to mention, though. That is that the throne section slides right out easily. A little bit too easily, because even just moving this around on the ground, sometimes it'll just kind of stay there and that'll just be left behind if you just slide it, because there's nothing clipping it in. These sections on the side have their clips to hold them in place. The whole section on the back has its, that had a weird squeak to it, but the whole section on the back has its clip as well. Might even be a little bit too tight there, but that's nice that it will stay. But strangely, this doesn't, and it definitely needed that. It easily could have been done. That's definitely something you can modify without too much concern. But otherwise, yeah, structure, pretty happy with. I'm actually happier with this than I thought I would be, so that's good. And yeah, the main problems are small details, mostly with the figures, and the price for me. I would like to see this. I would like to see this at, I would like to see this at $70 US. And I know that's completely unreasonable to ask for from Lego. For Star Wars seconds, of course, they're gonna price things up because they can. Not because of this, not because of the Star Wars tax, not because of the Disney tax, not because of the licensing fees. They've spread their licensing fees across the entire product range. This is known, the data shows it. It's just how they do their business. They price things on the retail market based on how much they think they can get for them. And I think they just asked for too much for this. And so more realistically, I would like this to be about $80, $85 So $90 initial retail price is really pushing it for me as a suggestion, but it actually starts at 100. That's just too much to me, in my personal opinion, for what you get here. Some adjustments could have made it feel more like a $90 set. Let me know what you think about that, about its value and about the details, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.